This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so welcome back to the day 3 session. So, right, I just wanted to give the few points which I have discussed in my the yesterday session regarding how we are going to declare the variables, how we are defining the methods, and how we are keeping these things inside the class. These things we have seen. So class is a collection of variables and methods. Class is a collection of variables and methods into a single unit, and that particular single unit is known as class itself. So to define the class, we are using one Java reserved keyword, that is what's a class. So class followed by class name, open curly braces, and then closed curly braces. Inside this, we are going to declare variables and we are defining the methods. And how we are declaring the variables, how we are defining the methods, practically also we have seen yesterday. We have seen the syntaxes of variable declaration come initialization. We have seen the syntax of defining the method. Everything we have seen, sir. So far, I told you object-oriented programming principles. 1 second, sir. Right. So, OOPS principles. Okay, we have 4 OOPS principles are there. So those are something like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. So to achieve those principles practically, we are using two concepts in Java. One is class, another one is what's a object. So class already we have seen, but now this is the time to discuss about what object. So whether you aware or not, just by defining the class, memory will not be created. For what memory is supposed to be created? Whatever you are defining, whatever the properties you are defining inside the class, for those properties, memory is supposed to be created. So what properties we can declare inside the class? We can define inside the class variables, methods, constructors, blocks, something like this. So whatever the properties we are defining inside the class, for those properties, pakka memory is supposed to be created. Otherwise, what happened? You can't store the data. When the memory will be created? When you create the object. Okay, when you create the object, then only memory locations will be created for the properties which you are defining inside the class. Whenever the memory locations will be created, then only the data gets stored. That is the reason, just by defining the class, nothing will be happening, sir. Nothing will be happen. Just by defining the class, memory will not be created. When memory will be created, then you create the object. So if anybody is asking what is the definition of the class, you can simply say class is a collection of variables and methods into a single unit. In the same manner, if somebody is asking what do you mean by object, what is your answer? Object is nothing but or is. Object is an instance of a class. Object is known as what? Instance of a class. So immediately the interviewer will ask, what do you mean by instance? Whatever the point just now I told you, that is the meaning of instance. What do you mean by instance? Tell me. Allocating sufficient amount of memory space for the properties, okay, which we are defining inside the class. Whatever the properties we are defining, for all those properties, memory space will be created. That is the meaning of what? Instance. So object is an instance of a class. So for a single class, how many objects we can create? Very important note point, sir. So for a single class, how many objects we can create? how many objects we can create? So answer is as many as we want based on the requirement. Whenever you create the object, memory spaces will be created. That is for sure. For example, in my college, I have 1,000 students are there. So to store 1,000 students information, I have to create one object or 1,000 students objects. For sure, you have to like what, create 1,000 student object, where each and every object contains a particular unique student information, specific student information. This is what you need to understand. So just by creating one simple object, you can't store 1,000 student objects. You can't store 1,000 students information. For every student, we have to create the object. Then only we are able to store a specific data. Otherwise, it is not possible. So my point is here, why should we create the object? Okay, why should we create the object? What is the important, what is the purpose of creating the object? To allocate the memory space for the class properties. Class properties means what? Whatever the properties we are defining inside the class, those are all what we call class properties only. Whether it might be variable, whether it might be method or constructor or a block, whatever it is. So for a single class, how many objects we can create? As many as we want based on the requirement. So what do you mean by object? Object is an instance of a class. Very, very important. Okay. So now here, this is the theoretical information regarding object. Then how practically, what is the syntax? Do we have any syntax to create the object? This is the important point. Yes, we do have a syntax to create the object. What is the syntax? Class name followed by object name equals to new followed by class name, open parenthesis and then closure parenthesis. This is the syntax we have to create. Okay, this is the syntax we have to use to create the object. So in my yesterday's example, my class name is student. Whatever the class name you define, the class name only you have to use. Object name is, it's your wish. You can use any object name. That is the user defined. So new is the predefined Java operator, dynamic memory allocation operator. I told you now, whenever you create the object, memory will be allocated. Who will actually create the memory allocations? This operator is taking care. So new operator is acting as a what? Dynamic memory allocation operator. At runtime, for all the class level properties, memory will be allocated. Followed by class name, student, open parenthesis and then closure parenthesis. If you are observing here, first left side student is name of the class. Okay, obj is what? Name of the object. Okay, equals to, you know already, this is an assignment operator. Okay, new, just now I told you, this is a dynamic memory allocation operator. Okay, and the last student, this open parenthesis and closure parenthesis, it is the constructor that I will tell you later in the constructors concept. So whenever you wanted to create the object, this is the syntax we have to follow. Whenever you create the object, okay, memory allocations, memory spaces will be allocated for all the class level properties itself. So I wanted to create one more object, student obj equals to new student. Is it possible? We can create multiple objects for a single class. That is not at all a problem. But you already gave the object name as obj. But how can you give the same name for one more object? Object name is always what? Unique. So that is the reason you have to like what? Give another name instead of by. With the similar object names, we can't create more than one object. Because object names are always unique. Because object names are always what? Unique itself. So whenever you create the object, okay. So with this object, we are able to access the properties. For example, if you are observing in yesterday's class, my student class, we have stid, stname is there. We have display method is there. Now, just now we have created an object. So how this object looks like? This is an object. So what is this object name? Here it is what? Obj. Obj is an object name. So inside this obj, we do have stid is there, st name is there, display method is there. So if I wanted to access these properties of class, okay, since you created the object, using this object we are able to access. For example, I wanted to access obj.stid. Here, what is the syntax? With respect to object, if you want to access the properties or invoke the properties of the class, you have to like what use this syntax. What is that syntax name? What is that syntax? Tell me. Object name dot property name. Object name dot property name. Object name dot property name is display method, like this. Like this, we have to like what use this kind of syntax. Here dot is acting as what? Access operator. Dot operator is acting as what? Access operator. So shall we see one example on top of this? Yes, you just observe here. Let me try to like what take one basic example here. Class student int stid equals to 100. Okay, string st name equals to Rama. Okay, so now public static void main of taking string as an argument. So open it. Okay, we are not defining the method also. We will define the method also. Public void display. This is the method. What exactly yesterday I did? The same thing. Since I opened the class here, I have to close here, right? So I have to close here. Here also I have to close. This method open and closed. Main method open and then closed. And this is the closing for class. TK. Everything is fine. So now in this display method, system.out.println of student ID is, sir, plus operator I am using, sir. Why I am using plus operator here? Plus is acting as the concatenation operator, because of I wanted to display the student ID, but student ID is of integer type. But here I wanted to like what append this string information. That is the reason I am using what? Plus operator. Here it is acting as a concatenation operator. Okay. So system.out.println of what is the next one? Student name is, where exactly it is available? In the variable name st name. That's it. So this is the logic which I developed inside the display method. These are all the variables. So now whenever you execute this program, control comes to main method. Because of JVM will call this main method. Na? So once the control comes into the picture, once the control comes to the main method, okay, what we have to do, as we are already aware, you can't hear my voice, just wait. Is my voice is audible for everyone? Is my voice is audible? Yes. Right. If anybody is facing any issue with respect to my audio or screen visibility, immediately please remind me. No problem. Thank you. Okay. Coming back to here. So since we have some logic inside the display method, we are declaring variables, we are defining the method. Now, as we just now I told you, we are just by defining the class memory spaces, memory will not be created. When memory will be created? Whenever you create the object. So now I wanted to create the object in the main method itself. Student obj, okay, student obj equals to new student. I have created an object, and then I have created an object just now. Whatever the syntax I told you, with that I am just creating, right? So after this, what we have to do, if you really wanted to access the properties, I have told you just now with respect to diagram. So now I wanted to access this stid and st name, right, sir? So system.out.println of, okay, student ID is plus, how can you access? Using object name obj.stid, because of whenever you create the object, entire properties are available inside that object only, so that using that object I am able to access those properties. That is the concept. Okay, so now system.out.println of, again one more time, student name is plus obj.st name. Why I am using plus operator? As I told you, whenever you wanted to like what append a string with some other data, we have to like what use plus operator. You know the syntax of why obj.stid and obj.stname. Let me try to like what save this program. Control S. I wanted to save under Java prog, as you know already, student.java. Okay, I am just giving my file name and then class name, both are same. Yes, we can give, that is also I have shown you yesterday. Right. So now after you saved this program, what I need to do, first thing is what we have to compile this program. Let me open the command prompt. Okay, go to the E directory, cd, come on please, cd, what is that? Free Java sessions, cd, Java prog, cls. In this directory I saved. So that is the reason you, if you really wanted to compile and execute, you should go to this directory. Just it is a this DOS commands. Okay, so Java C space. Okay, what is the file name? Student.java. I think syntactically I correct everywhere. So that is the reason I'm not expecting any syntactical errors. So obviously student.class file will be generated. So if I'm writing Java space student, student ID is what, sir? Student ID is 100, student name is what? Rama. One time, whatever the two SOPs you are displaying, this will be executed. But what about this display method? Inside the display method also you wrote this logic. So if I wanted to execute that logic, I need to call that method. How can you call that method? So just to give one separation, for the formatting purpose I am giving this, and please try to like what, call the method display. So in Java, if you really don't want to like what execute or compile anything, please try to like what, keep it in the comment. So in Java, single line comments we are representing by using 2 forward slashes. Okay, if you really want to like what display or write a multi-line comments, you are going to like what use this slash, forward slash, and then followed by star, and accordingly we are going to like what use this. Okay, multi-line comments like this we are going to like what display. So try to understand what I mean to say. Here this is representing single line comment. Okay, this is representing, okay, multi-line comment. So as per the requirement, you please try to like what provide your comments. Okay, so multiple lines, if you really want to give, you just use this particular syntax. If you want to provide the commenting code, is not at all gets compiled, not at all executed. Just for readability purpose, we are using this particular commenting. So coming back to student.java here, so I wanted to call the display method. So that is the reason I'm just writing one comment just for understanding purpose. So how can you call the display method? Immediately what we need to do, method name is display, object name is what? Obj. So object name dot method name. So that obj dot display, that's it. So since it is a method, you have to like what, give open parenthesis and then closed parenthesis. So once again, since I made changes, what we have to do, you have to recompile the program and then you have to execute. So see here, this the first one is a main method logic, and this one is a okay display method logic itself. So in this way we need to understand, okay, in this way we need to understand this particular program. Let me copy this. I'm just okay giving you the same example here, giving you the same example with respect to class and object. One second, yeah, control it, 1 second. Right. So this is, I hope this example you might understand. So now after this, so you need to understand one more point here. For example, I have one scenario, same scenario, int stid, string stname, and everything is there. Now my next concept is instance versus static. Very important concept. You need to understand and then remember this concept, instance versus static. So inside the class we can define instance properties, and as well as static properties based on the requirement. So you need to understand what do you mean by instance properties, why should you go for instance properties, what do you mean by static properties, These points very clearly we should understand. Then only as per the scenario we are able to like what declare with respect to either non-static or static. Another name of instance properties is what? Non-static. So for example here int stid, this is a instance property or static property? So one note point I am writing here, to make any property, as static property, come on, as static property, we have to use one Java reserved keyword. We have to use one Java reserved keyword, that is what? Static. So in this way, this is a instance non-static or static property. Obviously it is a non-static property. Can you make this as what? Non-static? Yes, happily. If I am giving like this, it is a static keyword. In the same manner, void display method, with respect to methods I am speaking. This is what? This is the instance method or non-static method. So same, if I am using static void display. So whenever you are using static keyword before the variable declaration or before the method definition, those properties are becoming what? Static. If you are not using static keyword, those properties are considering as what? Non-static or instance. Non-static or instance, since we are not using static keyword. Sir, I really understood how can we represent the properties with respect to static or non-static. I really understood. There is not a, that is not a problem. But what is the important point here? When should you go for define the properties as static? When should you go for defining the properties as non-static? I will give you one scenario. You can easily guess it. For example, I have one college is there. In my college, I have 1,000 students are there. For each student, this is the information they have: STID, ST name, and then STID, ST name, mobile number, and as well as what? College name. If you are understanding this scenario, to store these 1,000 students, so STID, ST name, mobile, these properties are very specific, right? These properties, because of all the students are studying in the same college. So in that case, my college name is what? My college name is common, sir. My college name is common. But when it comes to like what? This student ID, student name, mobile number, these are not common. If these are not common, when memory will be created for every student, we have to create the memory. For every student, we have to create the memory. When for every student, if you really wanted to create the memory, what we have to do? We have to create the object. Then what about college name? Do we need to create the memory, or else do we need to create the object for college name property to allocate the memory? No. Why? Because of college name is the common property. Why should you go for creating the memory for 1,000 times? If you create the memory for one time, the same memory can be reused for all the 1,000 students, right? So that obviously we are able to consume the less memory or not? Yes. So by this explanation, what I wanted to give one important point. If a property is a common, for all the objects, okay, for all the objects, we can define that property. We can define that property as static. For static properties, memory will be created at the time of class loading. Which is done by class loader subsystem. It is the part of JVM, right, sir? For static properties, if you really wanted to create the memory, as I said, object is supposed to be created. Whenever you create the object, then only memory will be created. That is the point I told you so far. But for static properties, memory, to create the memory, do we need to create the object really required or not required? We don't require. Why? Because of that is not specific, that is common. Then who will create the, if object will not be creating the memory for the static property, then who will create? class loader subsystem. At what time? At the time of class loading. Class loader subsystem is the predefined system defined program that will be the part of JVM memory. So that is the reason. So object is what? Coming back to previous definition. Object is an instance of a class allocating sufficient amount of memory space for all the properties or for the instance properties, for the non-static properties. This is the point. Without explanation, if I am writing, you might not understand. Memory will be created only for the non-static properties when you create the object. If you are not even creating the object, also memory will be created. For what properties? For the static properties. But then what is the difference between static properties memory creation and then non-static properties memory creation? Non-static properties memory will be always created. Whenever, as and when you create the object, memory spaces will be created. But when it comes to like what static properties, how many times memory will be created? Only one time. Because of that is the common, that is, we no need to create the memory for multiple times in case of static properties. So if we create the memory only once, that's enough. The same memory can be distributed or reutilized by all the objects. So I hope you understand the difference between static properties memory creation and non-static properties memory creation. Non-static properties memory always will be created as and when you create the object. Static properties memory only will be created once, and that too at the time of class loading, which is done by the class loader subsystem, and that is the part of JVM. Right. So now, sir, you said non-static properties memory will be created when you create the object so that we can access those properties by using object name. We have already seen the program. And using object name, I access. That is what I am doing here, right? You see, obj.stid, obj.stname. Because of stid and stname are what here? Stid and stname are what here? Non-static properties. Can you please define one static property for me? Yes. So I'm going to like what define one static property here. What is that? String college name equals to, for example, CBIT. This is the college name. So obviously this I am making this one as what? Static itself. I am making this one as what? Static itself. So for the static properties, do we really require the object? Not required. Are we able to access them now? Yes, happily we can access system.out.println of. System.out.println of. Okay. Student college name is plus. How can we access? Do we need to like what really go for what obj dot? Not at all required. Simply happily you can access college name directly. You can access. Or okay, or directly also you can access, or you can access by using class name also. Since the static property and the calling is also done the same class, that is the reason I'm calling directly. You will get some kind of requirements. You are defining static property in one class, but you are trying to access from another class. That time how can you access? Using class name. Using class name. Here also you can access by using class name like this. Student.college name also it is fine. To be honest, object name also possible, but to be honest, object is not required. Okay, so ultimately my point is here, static properties. Okay, I will write down so that you will get the clarity. Static properties. Okay, we can access using in these three possible ways. What is the first way? Tell me. Using class name. Okay, this is the second one is direct access also possible, direct access. Third one, using object. It is recommended or not recommended? It is not at all recommended because of object itself, object creation itself is not required. Why? Because of memory will be created before object creation for the static properties. Okay, so before the object creation only class will be loaded, sir. That time only memory will be created. That is the reason. Yes, we can access, but using object, that is not at all recommended. So when should we go for direct access? So if property and the calling is done in the same class. So just now as I did, okay, using class name, if property, if static property, if property in one class, calling from another class, that time usually we will go for what? Using class name we can access the static properties, whether it is a variable or method name, whatever it is. But this is the point we need to understand. Static properties we can access using in these three possible ways. But wherever non-static properties, how can we access? There is no question. Non-static properties always we can access using object name only. Because for the non-static properties or instance properties, when memory will be created, when you create the object, that is the reason it is always mandatory to access the non-static properties or instance properties only using object name only. Only using object name only. Right, sir? I guess you got the clarity, but yes, you might feel if really little bit confusion is there, that's not a problem. But just by reading itself, I mean, just by practicing, you will get more clarity. So now I wanted to tell you one more concept on this context so that you will get, I will try to like what give you more clarity. Here in Java, we have two areas are there. Two areas are there. One is a instance area, another one is static area. Sir, what do you mean by instance area? What do you mean by instance area? You know the another name of instance. What do you mean by another name of instance? Non-static. So we have, as I said, we have two areas are there. One is instance area, another one is a static area. Okay. So what do you mean by instance area? Instance area is something like, the area which belongs to instance method or static method is, sorry, or non-static method is known as what? Is known as what? Instance area. So yes, little confusion. Public void display. Public void display. Please tell me, this display method is a static method or non-static method? It is a non-static method. Yes, it is an instance method. So in between open curly and then closure curly, whatever the area you are seeing, this area is what we call, tell me. Come on, please. The area which belongs to instance method, this area is known as, come on, please, instance area. Right, sir. So the same example, public static void display. Public static void display. Sir, few people are there, sir. They are trying to like what use this static before the method name. Sir, before the method name always, what should be there, sir? Return type only. In between return type and method name, if you are trying to like what keep any other reserved keywords, immediately Java compiler will give you the error. I'm just telling you without getting any issues. Before only I'm telling you. Always before the method name, it is expecting the return type. In between return type and method name, you are not allowed to keep any other reserved keywords. Please try to remember. Right. That is the reason before the return type only I'm using the static. Okay. So now tell me, now this time this display method is a static method or instance method? Previously it was instance method, sir. It was non-static method. You know, because of no static keyword. But this time this display method is what? Static. Because of I am using static. So obviously this area will become what? This area will become what? Static area. Right, sir. Now I got the clarity. Which area is an instance area? Which area is the static area? Right, sir. Sir, why you are telling these areas? Do I really require this? Yes, sir. So, right. You know already Java execution starts from where, sir? Main method. Can you please tell me the main method prototype? Yes, public static void main taking the string as an argument. Tell me, main method is also by default what? By seeing the method name, please tell me. Main method is also by default what, sir? Static only. Main method is also what? Static only. So obviously, main method related area also, what kind of area it is? Static area only. If it is a predefined method also, since it is a static, this area is what? Static area only. Of course, these are the user defined method. Now, after I have got the clarity, come back to the program. Right. You are in which area right now? So whenever you are executing the program, control comes to the main method. So that means control is in which area? Static area. Very good. Static area. So you know why we are creating the object? To create the memory for non-static properties. You know, from the static area, if I wanted to access, what are these? Non-static properties, right? Okay, up to here, stid and then stname. stid and then stname are the non-static properties or static properties, please? stid and stname are the non-static properties. Now, you are in which area right now? Control is in which area? Static area. I wanted to access non-static properties from the static area. How can we access? Using, come on please, using object name. Come on, this point I'm writing here. This point I'm writing here so that you will get the clarity, sir. So from static area to access the non-static properties, using object name, it is possible. Yes or no? Whatever practically we have done, from that only I am deriving these statements. Just like that I am not writing. I hope you understood. Right, coming back to here, right, from static area to access the non-static properties, we are accessing by using object name. That's fine, sir. Now, what is this display method, sir? What is this display method? I am seeing your chat box. Display method is the static method or non-static method. Non-static, another name is instance method. Display method is the static method or instance method. One second. Okay, so here display method is obviously non-static method. Very good. Non-static or instance method. Right. Very good. So previously you are in static area. That is the reason we are accessing using object name. That's fine. But now when you call the display method, control goes to the display method. So that means control is in which area right now? Non-static area or instance area. Very good, sir. Instance area or non-static area. So from the non-static area, we are trying to access which properties? Same non-static properties only. Come on, from the instance area, I am trying to access instance properties. How you are able to access? Using object name or direct access? Using object name or direct access? Using object name or direct access? 100% direct access is possible. That is the reason, coming back to our notes, come on, from instance area to access the instance properties using direct access is possible. Direct access is possible. Directly we can access the instance properties from the instance area. That is the point. So right, this is, you know, so since we have a instance properties are there, sir. Instance properties are there. One, from static area, if I wanted to access the instance properties using object name, from the instance area to access the instance properties, direct access is possible. For example, now if I have static properties are there, assume if I have a static properties are there. Okay, do we have a static properties there or not in my class, previous class? Yes, static property is there. Now whenever you execute this program, control comes to main method. Now how can you access this college name? Direct access is possible from the static area or from the instance area, any area to access the static property. Three possible ways you can access. That is what I am writing here. Okay, from very, very important, sir. From any area, either instance or static, any area. To access static properties, we do have following three possible ways, as I said already. What is that? Direct access, using class name. Third one, using object name. When we have to like what using object name, it is not at all recommended. Why? Because first of all, object creation only is not required, because of the memory will be created for the static properties before the object creation. Then why should we go for what creating the object? So that is the reason. Yes, if you really wanted to interest, if you have an interest to access, you can, but that is not required. That is not at all recommended. So, and I told you direct access when using class name when I told you already. So just for the understanding purpose, just come to here. What I am doing, direct access is done na, system.out.println of, okay, student, one more time accessing, I am accessing college name is plus, try to access using object name, whether I am getting or not, I am just checking, sir. Whether I am getting or not, I am just checking. Okay, so this is what we did in the static area. And from the static area, you are accessing direct access, object name from any area. It is possible. From any area. In the same manner, system.out.println of student college name plus college name is plus, what is the class name? Student, S capital, college name, right? So in three possible ways I did from the static area. The same thing, Control C, I will try to like what do it from the non-static area also. Okay, Control C. Yeah, you see, sir. Let me save this. Whether I am getting or not. If I am getting without any error, this statement, whatever I wrote, this statement is correct. Meaning that from any area we can access the static properties like this. Okay, come back to student.java. Just to save it once. Open the command prompt. Java C space student.java is for compilation. One error is there. What is this error? Yes, because you declared the obj here. Whenever you are declaring this obj here, okay, obviously this variable you can access only within the main method. Then you are trying to access from outside this. That is the reason it is giving me the issue. One second. So to avoid this, okay, for now actually we do have some solution is there, but even if I am writing again, you need to understand few more points. That's fine. Okay, let's cross check it one. Okay, again we are getting the issue now. Okay, one second. So let me save this. So system.out.println of student college name. Are we able to access? First, let me cross check this. One by one I will see, so that we can easily understand where we are facing the issue. Right. Come back to here. CLS Java C space student.java. My goodness. Where we are getting the error? In the line number 27, 25, all these errors are getting. Just wait. Legal start of type. One second. Just wait. Save it. One by one we'll see. I think did we do any mistake here? It's a display method. Oh my god, why I'm keeping here in the SOP? 1 second, might be my mouse. Let me do Control Z. Yes, main method got missed somehow. That is the reason we are getting this issue. Okay, I think there is nothing wrong. Let me do one thing. 1 second. Right. So somehow it main method got missed. That's the reason I didn't observe. Since we are doing all these things in the notepads, yes. 1 second. Let me do it in the comment. Save it. Let's come back to here. Java student. So it gets compiled. Student. Yes. So student, the whatever the logic before this horizontal row, this was the logic we are able to like what access from the main method. So from the main method directly we can access, using class name also we can access, using object name also we can access. So from the instance area, what did I do? From the instance area, I am using class name. So direct access is possible. That is also I will observe. Okay, Java C student.java. Java student. Yeah, you see college name. So direct access is also possible. Using object name I will try. But since as I said this obj, since you declared in the main method, this is the eligible for only here. So that is the reason you can't access outside. That's why we are getting the error. Previously also we got the error, same error. Yeah, this is the error. But to avoid this, I tried to use this. 1 second. If I'm using, you might not understand, but let me save this. Java C student.java. Java student. Yes. Am I able to like what access that CBIT from the instance area and as well as what from the static area? I mean from the static area and from the instance area. Yes. You may ask, sir, what do you mean by this? This is always representing current class object. The concept is there. Later I will explain. Okay. Just to avoid this error. So here you please consider this keyword. You please consider as an object only. Okay, why you are not able to use this obj here? Because you declared this obj inside the main method. You can't access the same variable outside of the main method. That is local variable. Up to main method only you can access. Outside of the main method you can access. But still, do we have any other way to use the current class object? That is the reason I am using this. This is representing always current class object. That I'll tell you later. We have a separate concept is there, right? So this program is very important. So I will cover most of the fundamental concepts. If you are understanding all these things, how we are able to access, we are in which area we need object, in which area we don't require, for the static properties how we are calling, all these things we covered in the same single program itself. Let me copy this, and one more time I'm going to like what give you so that you get the clarity. You please try to do the hands-on, like how exactly I am doing one by one in the same manner. If you start to do, you will get more clarity for sure. It is just like that. If you are doing, by hearting and then doing like a DTP operator, if you are typing and then getting the output, that does not make sense. Just try to understand the concept and try to like what move or in the flow with respect to concept. You try to like what develop the program so that you will get the confidence and then crystal clarity, right? So that is all about what instance versus static itself. That is all about what instance versus static area. So after this, I wanted to tell you one important. Concept. So that is what whether you are observing or not. For example, if I'm writing one program, class demo, public static void main, taking the string as an argument, main method open and then close, and then I'm closing the class. All right. System.out.println off. Here I wanted to perform the addition of two numbers. System.out.println off. 10 plus 20 I'm giving. So Control S, demo.java under Java proc. Okay, demo.java, save it. So 10 plus. What is the output you are expecting, all of you? System.out.println of 10 plus 20. If I am running this program, of course, with respect to compilation, we don't have any issues. And I'm executing this program. What is the output you are expecting? 10 plus 20. CLS. Come on, I'm seeing your chat box. Java C demo.java. Java space demo. What is the output we are expecting? So we are getting 30. Yes, we are getting what? 30 itself. For example, yes, you try to observe public void or else public static void sum of int x comma int y. Try to understand. System.out.println of sum is plus of x plus y. This is the logic, sir. This is the logic. This is the logic. Please try to understand. If anybody is not understanding in the last 10 minutes, you can feel free to ask me your queries. So what I did here, I am just defining one method. My method name is sum and I'm making this one as the static. There is no other, just I don't want to create the object. That is the reason I'm making this one as the static. Because of if you're not making this one as the static, again we have to create the object just to call that method. To avoid that, I'm just making this one as the static. Otherwise, there is no other reason. Okay. So int x comma int y and then sum is x plus y. Right. Now, if I want to call that method, how can we call? You are in static area. You are in static area. Control comes to here only. Come on, please. How can you call? How can you call this sum method? Happily call by using direct access. It is possible. Sum of. If I wanted to call this sum, how can you call? I mean, sum method is expecting how many parameters? 2 parameters of which type? Integer type. So meaning that you have to pass any two integer values before you are calling. You can call directly, you can call class name, you can create the object, and then with respect to object also you can access because of my sum is static property. Okay. Anyhow, we called sum method by passing two input values. So then control comes to here and then this SOP will be displayed. So shall we run this application? Java C space demo.java. Java space demo. So sum is, am I getting 30? Yes, very good. Now public void add int x comma int y. Come on please. System dot, come on please. System dot out dot println of sum is or else addition is plus of, same kind of logic. But what is the difference between previous method and then this method? Of course, method name is different. And what is the major difference? This is a static method. This is a non-static method. Okay. Now, anyhow, whenever you are executing this method, whenever you are executing this program, control comes to main method only, na? Yes. So when the control comes to main method, if I want to call the add method, how can you call the add method? Tell me. You are in static area. You already called the sum method. That means static method, but direct access. Now tell me, I wanted to call which method? Call the add method, which is what? Instance method. How can you call? From the static area, if you wanted to access the instance method, how can we call? Using object name. So that means we have to create the object. So to create the object, what is the class name? Demo. You have to create the object and then you have to call the add method. Again, while you are calling the add method, since it is expecting two integer values, you have to pass those two integer values. I'm passing this 20 comma 30 and then again control goes to here and then this will be executed. Java C space demo.java. Java space demo. Sum and then addition. Both are working fine. Few people are there, sir. We don't know. Is it possible to like what access the add method also directly without creating the object? Can you please check it? Yes, you please check it, sir. I'm just removing this. Immediately, if it is an IDE, there itself only it is giving you the error. Since it is a notepad, it is not showing you. Since the whatever the code we are writing in the normal editors, it is not auto compiled. but the code which you are writing in the IDE is, it is automatically gets compiled, so that we are getting the error there itself. Okay, so Java C demo.java, immediately we are getting the error. See here, non-static method cannot be referenced from a static context. If you really wanted to access the non-static method from the static area, we need an object. Otherwise, we are getting that error. Okay, now we are not getting any error, since we have created an object and then we are able to access. Okay, right. You may ask one question, why you are telling these things? Why are you telling all these things now? Yes. So by this example, what my intention is, you please try to habituate how to call the methods, and if those methods are expecting any parameters while you are invoking how we are passing, this is one intention. Okay, and meaning that while we are invoking the method, if those methods are expecting any input, how can we pass and how can we invoke and how we were able to execute these things. That is the first intention. And now one more important point here, add method is our own method. Okay, taking two parameters. Okay, some method is also our own method taking two parameters of integer type. That is in our hand, we can decide what type of parameters it is accepting, what entire thing, it should be in our hand, we can define as per our requirement. But when it comes to like what main method is taking what, sir? Main method is not the user defined, main method is the predefined, but main method is what type of parameter it is taking? Array of string. Array means what? We can store multiple values in a single variable. We can store multiple values in a single variable. So first value is getting stored in where? First value is getting stored in where? Args of 0. Second value, args of 1. Third value, args of 3, args of 2, like that. Like this, multiple values we are able to store in the single variable. That is the main purpose of what? Array. So this main method is taking the array of string as an input. Okay. So my requirement is now, anyhow we don't have a chance to call the main method. Who is calling the main method? Sir. Who is calling the sum method? Sir, programmer, sir. Who is calling the add method? Sir, programmer, sir. Because we are calling and accordingly those methods are getting executed. Now my question is, who is calling the main method? Are we calling the main method? No, sir. You execute the program, immediately control comes to main method. As I said, JVM is calling the main method. So do we have any control, sir, to call the main method? No, we don't have any control. But what my requirement is, since main method is automatically invoked by the JVM, I wanted to supply some input to the main method. Is it possible or not possible? My requirement is like how exactly I am calling my own method by passing some input. In the same manner, I wanted to call this main method. I don't want, because of JVM is automatically called. But since this main method is taking array of string, I wanted to give that input to the main method. Is this possible? Yes, this is possible. So that concept name is what you know? Command line arguments. Command line arguments. Please try to understand. Meaning that whatever the input which we are passing while we are executing the program, from the command prompt, those arguments are known as, come on please, command line arguments. Very good. I'll tell you. For example, here Java C space demo.java. Yes, it gets compiled, sir. Java space demo. Sir, just like that, I am not entering. While you are executing the program itself, you are passing the data. Sir, while we are Java space demo, if you are entering, automatically control goes to the main method. That invocation is done by the JVM. But now what I am doing? JVM, you call the main method. That's not a problem. But before you are calling the main method, whatever the values I am passing, please bring these values to the main method. So please do this favor to me. So please bring these values, whatever the values I am passing, you please bring these values to the main method and give it to the main method. That is what exactly the So whatever the arguments we are passing from the command line while we are executing the program, that concept is known as what? Command line arguments. Command line arguments. Okay. So where this 100 will go store, and then come on, please, in the student.java, sorry, in the demo.java, you pass 100 and then 200, na? That will be coming and then storing in where? ARGS of 0, ARGS of 1. 100 got stored in ARGS of 0, 200 is getting stored in ARGS of 1. Because of array, always the values of array get stored based on the index. Array index starts from 0th location only. Because of we have a separate concept is there, arrays. That time you will get more clarity. But you can easily understand, that's not a big problem for us. So I'm just removing, but before I'm removing, I'll take this program. Let me keep it in before this command line arguments. One simple example, demo.java. Just like that, I'm not making these notes. I'm expecting the same kind of hands-on also from all of you, so that you will get the clarity and it will be useful. Okay, just like that, don't attend these sessions. If you are daily, whatever the programs I'm explaining, if you are practicing, definitely you will get that interest, and as well as what it helps you a lot to crack the interviews also. Right, save it. So come back to here and come back to the demo.java. You please remove all these methods, whatever I did. Just I'm maintaining only one main method is there, right? So here, what logic I'm writing, you know, system.out.println of ARGS of 0, system.out.println of ARGS of come on 1. So tell me, ARGS is the variable. ARGS is the variable. Any variable. Variable name is, it's a user defined. You can give any name. You can give any name. So now my point is, ARGS is of which type? Tell me, string type. Okay. Now let me save this and try to compile and then execute. Java C space demo.java gets compiled, sir. No problem. Now Java space demo. Now I am passing the values 10 and then 20. Give the space. One value to another value separated with what? One space. Just like that, don't give. If you wanted to separate the values, input, just maintain the space. Okay, now, so control goes to the main method and these values will be given. JVM will give these values to this main method, and accordingly, whatever the logic you are implementing here, that will be executed. Just we are displaying other. So when I'm running, you see 10 and then 20 will be displayed here. That is what SOP you are writing. So sir, I am writing plus ARGS of 1. ARGS of 1. What is the output you are expecting? Please tell me, all of you. So 10 plus 20. What is the output you are expecting when I run this application? Come on. Right, very good. So who are giving 30? Okay, you just observe. Just now I told you ARGS is of which type? Tell me, string, sir. So if that is the case, how arithmetic operations are going to be happen? So what is the output you are getting? Please tell me. What is the output I am getting? 10 plus 20 is giving you 30 or 10, 20? 10, 20. Why? Because of this ARGS is of string type. On top of the string, if you are trying to perform any arithmetic operation, actual arithmetic operation won't happen. Just it is adding, appending, concatenation. It is acting like a concatenation. That is the reason I am expecting 30, but I am getting what? 10, 20. It is just appending since it is of string type. But how you will get the actual result? For this, what we have to do, sir? So here what my point is, string S1 equals to ARGS of 0. String S2 equals to ARGS of 1. Okay, here S1 and then S2 we have system.out.println of, okay, system.out.println of S1 plus S2. Since S1 is of string type and S2 is of string type, obviously we are getting that appending operation. Should not perform arithmetic operation. Then what we have to do? Yeah, what we have to do, you know, we have to convert string type data to integer type or any other type, whatever. Now this time I'm looking for converting my string type data to integer type. For this, we do have some predefined class is there. What is the class? You know, integer class API in Java. Come on, please. Open docs.oracle.com. See here, available. This is the predefined class. Always predefined classes and interfaces are available in the corresponding package. This class is available in the java.lang package. Class is a collection of variables, methods, constructors, so many. So coming back to here, okay, so many are there. One method is there. What is this method? Can you please observe it, all of you? Can you please observe the prototype? What is this? Tell me. What is the method name? All of you tell me. ParseInt. So parseInt method is taking which one as the input type? ParseInt method, P small I capital. Okay, parseInt method taking string as the input and returning what? And returning what? What is the return type? Integer, meaning that it will take the string value and converts into the integer value. And what type of method it is? It is a static method or non-static method? It is a static method. Sir, if it is a static method, how can you call this parseInt method? By using class name, sir. What is the class name? In which class name this parseInt method is available? Integer dot parseInt method. Like that. You have to pass args of 0. So then it will give you, whenever you are doing like this, it will give you what? Integer value. You can store int x equals to like this. So meaning that it will take the input value as a string and then converting into integer. Not only integer, we do have so many. Like for every data type, we do have a parser methods are there. For example, here int is there, short is there. For this short class is there, byte is there. For this byte class is there. So inside this short class, we have a parse short method is there. What this parse short method is doing? It is taking string. It is taking string as an input and giving you the short value, meaning that it is converting string to short. And inside the byte class also, we have parse byte method is there, taking the string as an input and giving you the byte value. In the same manner, integer, come on, integer is there. What is that method? Just now we have seen parse integer, taking the string as an input. Like this, for every data type, corresponding wrapper classes are there. For every data type, 8 data types we have now. For all the 8 data types, we have a corresponding wrapper classes are there. In each and every wrapper class, we have a parser methods are there. What these parser methods are doing? Parser methods are taking string as an input and giving you the corresponding data, meaning that it converts string type to respective data types. Such kind of parser methods are available in each and every wrapper class. Whatever the wrapper classes we have, 8 wrapper classes we have. For every 8 data types are there. For every data type, we do have a wrapper class is there. All these wrapper classes are available in which package? Java.lang package. We have a separate concept is there, sir. Packages concept. That time you will understand. So meaning that, what do you mean by wrapper class? Can you please Google it once? Wrapper class in Java. What is wrapper class? See here. Wrapper class in Java provides the mechanism to convert primitive into object and object into primitive. Sir, string is a object. Primitive means what? Whatever the 8 data types we have, those are. Whatever the 8 data types we have, those are. Wrapper classes purpose. So this is wrapper classes purpose. Wrapper class in Java provides the mechanism to convert primitive into object and object into primitive. So string is an object, taking the object data and converts it into the primitive type. And as well as what? Object into primitive also. Vice versa. So all such kind of classes are known as what? Wrapper classes. 8 data types, 8 wrapper classes. Every wrapper class, parser methods are there. Sir, can you please show me one more parser method so that I can believe? Okay. So what I will do is byte class API in Java. Byte class. So docs.oracle.com. What method you are expecting? Parse byte. You see this one. Parse byte method taking the string and giving you what? Byte. all the parser methods are static only, so that you can call all these parser methods with respect to class name only. Right. Come back to here. So in this way, what I have to do is go to the demo.java, go to the demo.java. My God, here only I'm changing. Okay. Let me do one thing. Control X. Come back to here. Control V, Control S. Come back to once again this demo.java. Right. We have to convert first string value into integer value. That is my requirement. Where exactly you have stored in the first string value S1. How can you do this? Integer dot parse int of S1. It will give you what? Integer value. Storing in one variable. Okay, first number, any variable. In the same manner, int second number equals to, again, integer dot parse int of S2. So now int result equals to FNO plus SNO. System dot out dot println of sum is plus result. Where exactly that result is available, sir? In the result variable itself. Now, if I am running this program, before you are running, you have to recompile java c demo.java java space demo 2 space 3 or else 10 space 20. So now we are getting, tell me, now we are getting 10, 20 or 30, please, because of you are converting the string type data into the respect to integer types using wrapper classes, using parser methods. All the parser methods are static. That is the reason we are calling using class name, taking the string as an input and giving you the corresponding respect to data type. And accordingly, once we are able to convert, happily we are able to perform arithmetic operations on top of the integer types, so that happily we are able to achieve this. I hope you understand. So that is the reason main method is taking string as an argument. If main method is not taking string as an argument, we don't have a chance to convert. We don't have a chance to convert from string to primitive types to string. That is the reason main method is taking string as an argument. If anybody is asking why main method is taking string as an argument, why main method is taking string as an argument, for this answer is what you know, to deal with the command line arguments. The same example, let me control C, come back to here, demo.java. Here I'm just pasting here, control V. So am I able to implement this? Happily I'm implementing. See here, what do you mean by result, sir? What do you mean by result? FNO plus SNO. Okay, so that I can remove this. What do you mean by FNO? This one is right. I'm just replacing. Control C, Control V. What do you mean by SNO? This one, right? Control C. I'm just substituting. That's it. I'm not doing a great thing here. Control V. So that am I able to remove? Right. We have to always produce the optimized code. Just like that, we should not declare the variables. So still we can able to substitute this S1 and then S2 also. Yes or no? So I'm able to remove the S2 also, S1 and S2 also. What do you mean by S1? Arcs of 0. Control C. Here also I'm putting arcs of 1. Control C. Here also I'm putting. Can I able to remove? Happily you can remove. So see here, previously how many lines of code? Now how many lines of code is there? Only within the one line am I able to implement? But you should understand that behind the scene what exactly we did, you need to understand. Let me copy once again, I recompile it. Once again I'm running, I'm getting the same output. Am I clear or not? All of you. Right. So this one also I'm just copying here. Then just improvement, little improvement, that's it. Just 1 second.